Hello and welcome to the very first episode of 2023. It's Movie Bollocks. So, this is obviously a review of last year. It has to be. It's podcast law. It's broadcasting law. Every TV programme, every podcast all does a review of the year. Mine is no different. I am now going to go through. I haven't actually counted the amount of films it is. It's not a top 10. It's a top whatever it is. I'm going to count them in a second, I promise you. In fact, check this out. It's my top 13 of the year, it turns out. So there you go. I suppose I could have narrowed it down to 10, couldn't I? If I could have been asked. But, you know me by now, if you've been listening regularly. I'm going to go with top 13. And another reason is because no one else is, are they? Anyway, these are my top favourite films of 2022, although at the end there are two films from 2021, and I will flag that up. But they're the last two, so there you go. First up, one of my favourite films of last year, and probably in my top two, if I'm honest, Elvis. To quote the philosopher Chuck D, Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to me. And I'm exactly on board with that statement. Absolutely, totally. Not a cultural touch point or a musical influence of any kind whatsoever for me. But at the end of this film, I cried and I miss Elvis. It's that good. I mean, absolutely just brilliant. If you can't get past the fact that it's Elvis, just imagine it's A Star Is Born 2, and it's a fictional tale, because it could well be, but absolutely loved it. Fantastic film. Austin Butler in the lead role. He is my bet for Best Male Actor. I just can't see it. If Rami Malek can win for playing Freddie Mercury, then Austin Butler's going to win it for playing possibly the most iconic, famous American in history. And Tom Hanks does a brilliant role as his evil Svengali manager. Next up, to conclude, Elvis, loved it. What a movie. Really enjoyed it. So next up is, couldn't be more opposite, really. Elvis is a nearly 3 hours long, multi-million-dollar Hollywood movie. Next up is The Outfit. Now, this takes place in a tailor's. The whole movie takes place in one place, and it really does have the feel of a play about it. Quite apt that the lead actor is Mark Rylance, who is probably better known for his work on stage than he is on screen. He's fantastic in this. He is ably assisted by Zoe Dutch, who is also brilliant in it. And if you're thinking, not my bag really, those films where there's like it all takes place in one place and there's seriously, watch it, because it's captivating. It really is. Really enjoyable, beautifully done. The Outfit, 1 hour, 40 minutes, and it's just, I haven't really said what it's about, have I? Captivating, mystery, there's a spy element, there's a mafia element. It's there's an underlying current that something's really wrong. And it doesn't take long before you find out what. So there you go. If that's not a good teaser, I don't know what is. Next up, my first, I suppose it's a horror film. It's called The Black Phone. Most people know it as Black Phone, but it's actually The Black Phone. And I absolutely adored this film. I really, really did. After being abducted by a child killer and locked in a soundproof basement, a 13-year-old boy starts receiving calls on a black phone. I'm leaving a few words out there because I think there's a bit too much in it. This movie really takes you back to Spielberg in his prime. It's set in the 80s and it has that Spielbergian 80s look to it, which I just absolutely loved. Everybody is brilliant in it. It's a bunch of kids, mainly the cast, and they are all fantastic. Ethan Hawke is excellent, as is Madeline McGraw, and Mason Thames or Thames, you never know. Yeah, just fantastic. You got the log line. Not going to tell you any more about it. Just watch it, and if you don't enjoy it, then you're wrong. Just remember that. Next up, Couldn't Be More Different. I seem to be doing Couldn't Be More at the moment a lot, but let's try and avoid that again, Howard. Men. Yes, a movie called Men, starring not many men, but some men. Rory Kinnear, mainly, and Jessie Buckley as the lead. She's fantastic in this. It's written and directed by Alex Garland. So those of you who are familiar with his work, Annihilation, that was one of his. That's a Netflix movie, which is great. Loved that. This has a weird, twisted element to it. Again, in and out, 1 hour 35 minutes. Loved it. A young woman goes on a solo vacation to the English countryside following the death of her ex-husband. And what takes place is really creepy, unnerving, and ultimately disturbing. It is a 90-minute watch that it really does take you to places that probably no other film you've watched has done. It's that different. It's that adventurous. It's that, it really does make an impression. I recommended this to a friend of mine, and I said, if you want to really freak your girlfriend out, watch this, okay? Because you won't have seen a movie like it. And I got a message from him afterwards saying, we're both sat here going, they don't know whether to thank me for telling him to watch it, or they should be angry with me for telling them to watch it. So make of that what you will. Speaking of which, I told that same friend to watch this movie, and when I spoke to him about a day and a half later, I said, oh, by the way, have you watched Bull yet? And he said, I've watched it twice, mate. So this is my movie of 2022. It's called Bull. All in capitals. Bull returns home after a 10-year absence to seek revenge on those who double-crossed him all those years ago. Written and directed by Paul Andrew Williams, who I would love to get on the podcast because I'd love to pick his brains on this movie. Fantastic. A tale of revenge, which I warn you now is incredibly violent. And I don't mean, and if you like violence, as in like action movie violence, I'm not talking about that kind of violence. I'm talking about visceral, it looks like it fucking hurts violence. I'm talking wince-inducing. I'm talking occasionally, possibly even shutting one's eyes. It is a brutal, violent journey that is ultimately very rewarding, but it is not an easy watch. I bought the special edition Blu-ray. I'm going to be watching all of the extras very soon. Probably bore you with those on the next episode of Movie Bollocks. But Bull is my movie of 2022, and got to put out really a big shout out to everybody who's in it. Every actor in it is fantastic, but lead guy Bull, Neil Maskell, who he's the kind of actor where if you saw his face you go, oh yeah, I know him, I've seen him and stuff. Fantastic performance, all the way through to a very surprising and convincing and great performance by former EastEnders actress Tamsin Outhwaite. Everybody's great in it. Bull, my favourite movie of 2022. So, 13 Lives is next. Now, a friend of mine, I've been saying, it's supposed to be really good. Watch it. And it's like, oh, I know the story. It's not that long ago. The rescue mission is assembled in Thailand where a group of young boys and their soccer coach are trapped in a system of underground caves that are flooding. Oh, yeah. Well, I watched the movie and absolutely loved it. And like most of these movies, you remember the news story, but you didn't get the whole story. So now in the movie, you get the whole story. Viggo Mortensen, Colin Farrell, Joel Edgerton, Paul Gleason, Tom Baker, everybody deserves huge credit. Ron Howard does a fantastic job with his direction and writing of the movie. It's brilliantly made. It's a fascinating watch. It's made all the more engaging by the fact that you know this actually happened. And it's the kind of movie that if you watched it and you didn't know it was a true story, you'd be like, do you know what? That's pushing it. I'm not really going with that twist. No. Well, yeah, it happened. So if you think you know the story, you don't. Watch the movie. It really is worth 2.5 hours of your time. Next up, See How They Run. Absolutely loved it. Now this is a movie that's like a play, but no, it's not like a play. It's almost like a farce, but it's not a farce because I fucking hate farces and I like this. So there you go. That's the definition of what a farce is now, whether I like it or not. See How They Run. Brilliantly made. Got such a great vibe about it. In the West End of the 1950s London, plans for a movie version of smash hit play The Mousetrap come to an abrupt halt after a pivotal member of the crew is murdered, and thus begins the plot of the play becomes the plot of the movie. Excuse me. You might have been able to hear I was just get a little bit of dry mouth there. So anyway, much better now, thank you. Yeah, it's great. It's lots of. You really do feel like you're in on this, on the plot, you feel like you're an extra character in the movie, that you're part of it, and these things are happening to you. It's got a fantastic cast, and everybody in it is just brilliant, but especially Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan, who are the two police officers who are trying to figure out what's going on. They are superb, especially Saoirse Ronan. I've never seen her in a role like this, and she's absolutely brilliant. Clearly got comedy chops. Comedy is not something every actor can do, as I'm sure you've all noticed, But anyway, it's brilliant. It's proper old school, set in the when is it? Yeah, set in the 50s, and it's a good old fashioned whodunit. But all along the way, you know that you're getting thrown red herrings, but sometimes you're thrown stuff and you're like, no, actually, I think, and you really are playing along with it all the way. So yeah, See How They Run. Just really enjoyed it. Good, enjoyable, fun 90 minutes. Next up, I'm going to go with it again. I warned myself, but I'm going to do it again. This next one couldn't be more different. This is The Batman. If you had enough of The Batman, and you've seen enough Batman, and you've heard enough of Christian Bale going, yeah, but I don't wear hockey pads. If you've had enough of all that, well, this movie is for you, because The Batman was a big surprise for me. I watched it kind of totally out of curiosity, not really expecting much more, intrigued to what Rob Pattinson was going to do with the character. Turns out, brilliant. Loved it. Zoe Kravitz, she's wonderful in it as well. Great direction, great look. Loved it. Loved the washed out, miserable fucking Gotham looks like a shit place to live. Sometimes you see Batman movies and you think, God, wouldn't it be good to live in Gotham City if you're a child like me? In this one, yeah, it's definitely like, fuck me. I thought London was grim in the winter. This fucking takes it. And it's excellent. It's brutal. It's violent. It's really well played, and I really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. And also, Paul Dano as the Riddler. Fucking hell, just a brilliant take on it. Got to be honest, I really like Andy Serkis. I'm a circus, not circus as in circus. It's Serkis. Not sure the origin of that, although I'm sure somebody will let me know. Or alternatively, I can just pause it and find out what the origin of his name is. And the origin is Iranian. Now, this is a proper tangent, fans, so strap yourselves in. Yes, he was born in Ruislip Manor in Middlesex. Right, Ruislip Manor is not far from my manor. Right? I know Ruislip Manor very well. It's about 10 minutes away. So that was surprising. And he grew up in Ruislip and Baghdad. Well, yeah, wouldn't you? His mother, Lily Weech, is half Iraqian and half English. And his father, Clement Serkis, was an Iraqi-Armenian gynecologist. His parents are Catholic. You could not make this up, could you? You couldn't make it up. But possibly, the most amazing thing is about to come. Serkis is the 8th highest grossing actor of all time. Yeah, 8th highest grossing actor of all time. That's what I thought. Really? But yeah, you look at the stuff he's been in and, well, yeah, right, okay. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that tangent, fans. After all that, I was actually going to say, not sure about his... I was going there. I was going to the I'm not sure about his portrayal of Alfred. But now, do you know what? It's absolutely fine. He's the 8th highest grossing actor of all time. What the fuck am I talking about? So anyway, yeah, look, this is purely my opinion because surely, if you wanted to see this movie by now, you've seen it or it's on your list to see. Anything I say is not going to convince you. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Really different take. Loved the Batmobile. Fuck me. Loved it. Next up, an odd one. This is Dual, D-U-A-L, Dual. A woman opts for a cloning procedure after she receives a terminal diagnosis, but when she recovers, her attempts to have her clone decommissioned fail, leading to a court-mandated duel to the death. Written and directed by Riley Stearns. That always appeals to me because it means that this is a pure, vision from a person, which means, the more people involved, the more likely things are to get diluted and fucked up, basically. Karen Gillan and Aaron Paul lead the way in this, and they're brilliant together. They form a chemistry in the movie that I really didn't see coming, and it's odd because the atmosphere of this movie is odd. Just in general, it's odd. I can't explain it. You'll understand when you watch it. The whole time you're watching it, I don't know. It's almost like there should be subtitles, but there isn't. Do you know what I mean? There's something about it that isn't there that should be, but you don't know what it is. And I just felt a bit off kilter all the way through it. But it really stayed with me. It's excellent, and it's a really simple idea, as it sounds. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying it's not a bizarre idea. It is a bizarre idea, but yeah, it's a simple idea. But the way they go with it, the way it's built, it's believable and weird and funny and strange. And I found it really, I'm going to use that word again, engrossing. Really enjoyed it. That was Duel. Next up, I'm going to go with it again. Couldn't be more different. It's Dog. That's right, Dog. Now, I've been told before that people who like dogs must be warned whether or not the dog dies in the movie. If you'd like to know whether the dog dies in the movie, I'm going to say it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No. And we're back. So, anyway, 2 former Army Rangers are paired against their will on a road trip of a lifetime. Briggs, Channing Tatum, and Lulu, a Belgian Malinois, race down the Pacific coast to get to a fellow soldier's funeral on time. And it's just really enjoyable. I've recommended this to a few people, and the reaction has been, "Oh, watch that movie, Dog. Yeah, really enjoyed that." And that's the reaction. And that was my reaction. I really enjoyed it. I mean, did I enjoy it enough to have it in my top 13? Well, apparently, yes. Would it have made a top 10? Probably not, this one. But if you're in the mood for something simple, redeeming, funny, moving, then yeah. And there is one particular brilliant scene where Channing Tatum books him and the dog into a hotel, a very, very posh hotel, and that's just a brilliant set piece. Really enjoyed it. Next up, is it one of my movies of the year? Definitely. This one is Prey. Excuse me. Now, Prey is the latest in the Predator franchise. Naru, a skilled warrior of the Comanche Nation, fights to protect her tribe against one of the first highly evolved predators to land on Earth. And that tells you everything you need to know right there. Dan Trachtenberg directs. He also came up with the story, which is very cool. And shout out to Amber Midthunder, who is amazing in this, Dakota Beavers and Dane DeLagrero. Superb performances. I'm going to go so far as to say I think this is probably the best Predator movie since the original. It's so different. It's a completely different take on Prey, but the weird thing is it's taking place in the jungle again. So, sorry, it's a completely different take on Predator, but it's also back in the jungle where Predator's set. So it's very, very well done. Really like the take on it. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, you know, it's a bit like Batman. If you haven't seen it, it's on your list, and if you haven't seen it and it's not on your list, you're not interested. So hey, there you go. Right, next two movies. That was the last of 2022. So I suppose it was a top 11 of 2022, wasn't it? Oh, I wish I'd tried harder to make it a top 10. Okay, top 10. Dog's not in it. There you go. That's the top 10. Boom. It's fucking easy, this podcast, Lark. But Lark, I tell you. From 2021, a movie called My Son. It really stuck with me, this one. Stars James McAvoy and Claire Foy. Both brilliant in it. Parents, their son goes missing. Driving the heart of the Highlands, Edmund Murray receives a call from his ex-wife in tears. Their 7-year-old son went missing from a campsite. Soon it becomes clear the child was kidnapped, and the parents give way to despair. It's really, speaking of somebody who's not a parent, I can't imagine how I would have felt watching this if I was. It is just, yeah, son kidnapped, got to find him. It's set in the Scottish Lochs. It's got an atmosphere about it. It's thrilling. It's terrifying. It's a real journey. You know, it's not one of those movies where you go like, oh, I really enjoyed that. It's not like Dog, which of course is not in my top 10. But it is in my top 11. I told you this was easy. It's a movie at the end of it where you go like, oh dear, you know, wow, that was good. Yeah. You know, yeah, I enjoyed that, I think. But it's very good. And finally, from 2021, a movie called Here Before. Now, this stars Andrea Riseborough as the lead character, which is, it's quite strange because she's better known as a director, and I love her stuff as well. Written and directed by Stacey Gregg. When a new family moves in next door to Laura and her family, their young daughter, Megan, quickly captivates her, stirring up painful memories of her own daughter, Josie, who died several years previously. And it is really disconcerting. This movie is only an hour and 23 minutes, you know, allow 5 minutes for credits. We're talking coming in at under 120. It's really cool. It's a mystery that you can't quite figure out, but it builds really beautifully, and it also delivers with its ending, with its explanation of itself, and the whole journey is just, yeah, it's really cool. It's, you know, it's kind of set in any old street in any old town in England, and yeah, things just seem to kind of start going wrong fairly early, and not so much even wrong, more just kind of what's going on. Anyway, that's it. here before, really enjoyed it. And you guys have been here before, hopefully. If you haven't, well, check out all the other podcasts I do in this feed. Been an absolute pleasure. Please sign up to Patreon of the podcast. That's that's patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. There'll be a link in the title to this podcast. And support me any way you can. I really appreciate it. Happy New Year, everybody. 2023 is going to be a good one. And that was where the podcast was supposed to end. Well, it's not really, no, because guess what? Yeah, I looked at my document and I completely forgot to do the best documentaries and the best TV shows of 2022. So, this podcasting lark, not nearly as easy as I may have led you to believe, or demonstrated, in fact. So anyway, let's not dither, let's crack on. My favourite documentaries of last year, there were two of them. And I think I've put these on episodes fairly recently. First one is Good Night, Oppie. The film follows Opportunity, the Mars exploration rover affectionately dubbed Oppie by her creators and scientists at NASA. Oppie was originally expected to live for only 90 days, but ultimately explored Mars for nearly 15 years. And believe you and me, I cried. Yeah, that's right. A bunch of tin and circuits on a planet far, far away. And I cried. Honestly, it's a genuinely moving documentary because you see all of these people, you know, kind of, it's their lives. They look after this thing from miles and miles away. It's incredible. It really is. And a 90-minute documentary that documents the 15-year life cycle of that of Opportunity, the Mars rover. I know it sounds mental that it would even be like more than scientifically interesting. It really is a human story as much as it is a one of triumph of technology. So there you go. Next up, the Pez Outlaw. I know I reviewed this recently. Can't speak highly enough about this. Steve Glue spent the 1990s smuggling rare Pez dispensers into the USA from Eastern Europe, making millions of dollars. It was all magical until his arch nemesis, the President, decided to destroy him. Well, you've got the true story of Steve Glue, who is one of the most captivating, wonderful, brilliant people you're ever likely to see in anything. This movie is not just a documentary about his wacky life, it's about possibly the most amazing relationship between a man and a woman that you'll ever see on film, because he and his wife are just, talk about two people who are just meant to be together. What they go through together, what they support each other through, and just their love for each other is amazing. And that's really is, that's just one strand of what is at times a hilarious documentary. It really is. Honestly, just from the very opening scene, if you are not in on this doc within the first 5 minutes, then yeah, you can leave, because you will be. And the recreations of some of the things he did as well are beautifully acted out, and they squeeze every last laugh out of the whole lot. So, yeah, totally recommend The Pez Outlaw. That's right, I recommend it. Didn't you say I liked it? Okay, best TV of 2022. Remember when you thought this podcast was over? Yeah, well, so did I. So, The Tourist. This came out in January 2022, and quite a lot of us have forgotten about it. If you remember, yeah, it stars Jamie Dornan, and it's when a man wakes up in the Australian outback with no memory, he must use the few clues he has to discover his identity before his past catches up with him. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It seems like so long ago that I watched it, because it's about a year, January 2022. So, but it's a brilliant mystery. There's Jamie Dornan plays opposite a fantastic Australian actress, Danielle McDonald, who is wonderful in it. Shalom Bloom Fontaine is also wonderful in it. If you don't remember it from last year, definitely check it out. The Tourist. Bizarre man wakes up with no memories mystery, but really, really well done. Next up, it's to mourn the passing, the final season of Ozark, which was just a fantastic TV series. You've heard of it, and you've probably tried it. Look, if you tried and you didn't vibe with it, try again. Seriously, try again, because you know you're missing out. You know it has to be good because that many people have told you that it is good. Well, I'm afraid I'm also one of them. So, Ozark, what can I say? Brilliant. And now something it couldn't be more different. Yes, I'm back again. Well, I say it couldn't be more different. It is different, sort of. I mean, it's still violent, but yeah, this is based on the true life tales of how the SAS became into being. This is SAS Rogue Heroes, a brilliant TV series from the BBC, and you won't hear me say that very often, probably once a decade. So, from Stephen Knight, who gave us Peaky Blinders, SAS Rogue Heroes charts the creation of the famed Special Forces unit based on the book by Ben McIntyre. It is superb. Jack O'Connell is brilliant. Connor Swindles is brilliant. Alfie Adams. Everybody in it is bloody brilliant, all right? It's just fantastic. Loved it. Nobody in it gives a fuck. It's action-packed. You've got Motorhead and Sabbath on the soundtrack. Bit of Judas Priest. I mean, what more do you want? Just get on and watch it. I'm not even going to tell you any more about it. Just get on with it. Next up, Devil's Hour. Or is it Donnie Darko's Hour? Oh, spoiler. Not really, no. But this is a TV series that is in no rush to tell you what the fuck is going on. The Devil's Hour is confusing, to say the least. Jessica Raine, Peter Capaldi, Nikesh Patel, all brilliant in it. It's 6 episodes. They're all about an hour long. And a woman who wakes up every night at exactly 3:33, could that be Devil's Hour? In the middle of the so-called Devil's Hour between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Well, it's not the so-called Devil's Hour, is it? The reason why it's the Devil's Hour, it's 3:33 a.m. It's half of 666. Duh. The Devil's Hour, the so-called Devil's Hour between 3 and 4 a.m. That doesn't work for me at all, yeah? I mean, if you're the devil, what's wrong with 5 a.m.? What's wrong with 2:30? Nah, that's bollocks. It's just 3:33 is half of, 666. Well, anyway, hope you enjoyed the tangent. Great TV series, head-scratching. Some of you might find it annoying. Some of you will find it absolutely captivating. Next up, Tits and Dragons Part 2. It's House of the Tits. Sorry, of the Dragon. House of the Dragon, bloody loved it. Come on, Game of Thrones is back. 10 episodes, smashed it. Lots of fights, lots of people just being horrible. My only complaint, I think, would be, I can't remember whether it was episode 3 or 4, where it starts and you're like, well, who's that? What the fuck's going on? And it's 15 years have passed since the previous episode. So I was like, hang on a second. That's a bit fucking... And I got to be honest, that did have me shouting at the telly for a good few minutes. I mean, obviously I forgave it. But, really, really fantastic. And some great casting. Matt Smith, Rhys Ifans. I wasn't sure about Matt Smith at first. I wasn't sure at all. But, totally won me over. Paddy Considine, possibly the most likeable character in the history of Game of Thrones. It's amazing. His character, not a wanker in some capacity. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. And Millie Alcock in the first few episodes as the young Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen is just fantastic. So anyway, you're going to watch it or you're not, aren't you? Finally, good old mate Guillermo del Toro and Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix. Bizarre nightmares unfold in 8 tales of terror in a visually stunning, spine-tingling horror collection curated by Guillermo del Toro. As it sounds, it's really cool. He comes out and plays with the cabinet. I mean, he's basically doing a complete homage to Alfred Hitchcock Presents. This TV series would win, if there was such a prize, best credits of any TV series. Watched at the opening credits to this to every episode, and they're the same credits. They're not different but they're just so captivating. I loved it. Captivating. Use that word a lot, haven't I? Absolutely loved it. I really want one of them cabinets of curiosities, please. So I know I've said this before, but this really is the end of the podcast. It is, honestly. So if you could sign up at Patreon, that'd help. And maybe I could get some help with my incompetence. This podcasting lark, eh? Oh, it's dead easy.